Hello, yeah, Roman, and a happy new year for 2026. So I'm just getting myself centered and ready and about to go into your comments. But I just needed to clean my glasses up. So welcome. Yeah, Roman. Let me do this, that, and lovely. So, welcome to the Body of the Kirk for 2026. Happy New Year. Just need to kind of get into the right space. This evening, I'm not having an hibiscus. I'm having, as all good football fans know, a cup of Bovril. Don't know whether you can say that before I spill it. A cup of Bovril. The problem with that is, makes me glasses steam up. So I haven't really prepared an entree or a beginning, but as the bishop said to Sister Mary, I'm going in hard. So you will be. Look, I could have done a quiz, or we're now 3rd day of January 2026. Could have done light and frothy. But do you want light and frothy? Whenever I do light and frothy, the data tells me that core audience enjoys it. But well, I decided not to kind of do light and frothy, but I am going to do stuff. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I just want to welcome people to the Body of the Kirk. Now, I know there's a load of people. Before I start on the comments and the parishioners, remember, Battenberg is for life and it's for free. In this weather, the Starmers, that's the pews because they're hard on your arse, are really, really, I would say, violently hard on your derriere. So the pal cushions are over there. I'm going to be standing from the pulpit of truth, delivering the Simon this evening, which I will tell you about in just a moment. But firstly, I want to wish everyone a happy new year. I hope you enjoyed the holidays. I hope in the run-up to Christmas and December, you enjoyed the Ghost Story Advent calendar. It was just a little something for you to change things. And I'll absolutely guarantee you that there will be other people on YouTube going, ooh, that's a good idea. Right, I'll nick that. Because the cesspool that is YouTube is, I mean, if you come up with something original, somebody nicks it. Somebody nicks it. I remember when I first started this channel and I was using comments and read them out and interacted with comments on videos. There were other people going, oh, blimey, somebody's doing something new. Right, well, nick that. They weren't very good at it. So they stopped fairly quickly, which made me roll with laughter. Because you can only do what you can do to the limit of your abilities. And I'm not even 10% out the gate yet. Oh, wait till you see what I'm bringing you in 2026. And there may be some things on the channel that may surprise you. There may be a change of name. And there may be other things, because I've listened very carefully to constructive criticism, feedback, I think they call it nowadays. And I've gone, well, yeah, maybe we need to do that. So although this is very vague and opaque, I just want to do stuff that's going to keep you engaged, entertained, and I want to stay ahead of the pack. I'm not a Johnny Big Rollocks. I don't blow me on trumpet. If I did that, I'd need 3 vertebrae removed. But I just want to be and bring all of my knowledge, my skills, my talents from being a broadcaster for 47 years. 47 years. And that's why I stayed ahead of the game in broadcasting, because nobody could keep up with me. And that's what we're going to do on this channel. So, can I just make this point? Told you so. Oh, 3 years ago, you were, what the? Because he's talking about Venezuela, and Hungary, and North Korea, and China, and Russia. This man is off his rocker. Hello? I'm not going to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so 3 years ago. And everybody laughed at me. Everybody laughed at me. Oh, this bloke, he's only talking about Dougie. Laugh, 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 laugh. You're not fucking laughing now, are you? World War III. You're not fucking laughing now, are you? And who was the only person on YouTube? There was only one person telling you for 3 years. And, well, some of the parishioners in the body of the kirk know that, because you stayed with me. You supported this channel in many differing ways, just by being in the comments or just viewing what I put out. Live 277 tonight. We're not far away from 300. But, Rev, how could you know that this was going to happen? Because the bullshit that the mainstream media keep feeding you is exactly that. It's brown stuff. It's not truth. It's not. And I'm going to nail some of that brown stuff tonight. Because I'm not looking at what the mainstream media are feeding you. They try to feed me. I do watch it. I laugh. I read the newspapers and go, hang on, is the price on the front correct? Right, that's the only thing that's going to be truthful this morning. Let's have a look at the mainstream media brown stuff. And I just read it and laugh because, maybe this is going to go the wrong way round, but the two biggest selling newspapers. Have you got your popcorn yet? Buckle up, Buttercup. 2026, as I will explain partly this evening and then tomorrow night. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wilder than you've ever experienced before. Anything like it. It's just a fucking movie. And if I told you 3 years ago, which I kind of did, but I had to be very careful about it, we're being ruled by satanic paedophiles, you were like, he's mad. He's off his rocker. You're not laughing now, are you? Hillary Clinton. Oh, I could tell you stuff. In fact, I could, Theo Bovril. Oh, Theo Bovril. Theo Bovril. I've got Bovril. Theo Bovril. Hang on. I better heart that. It's there. Theo Bovril, you always make me smile and laugh uproariously. Lauren Taylor, you're very, very kind. None of us were laughing at you. Well, not most of us. We were generally listening and taking on board what you said. Thank you, Lauren. And Gribbo says, where did all those Venezuelan flags come from in London? Amazon couldn't deliver them that quick. I know, they wouldn't get there till tomorrow. So shall we start? Where are we? Oh, I'm running out of time because I want to do a particular opening. Oh, I say, we're back to Sister Mary again. And I thank you, Theo Bovril. I just want to say thank you, just because you've been here for a very, 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 very long time. And you're always very supportive, as, you know, Lauren and everybody else that I'm about to mention. I just want to take 5 minutes to welcome everybody into the body of the kirk. It's a spiritual experience. And the past 3 years, I have been in a particular way. Now, you have to understand that some of the games that I am involved in are very, very, very dangerous. And I present things to you in a way that it may seem a bit mad and it may seem a bit weird, but it's truth. And you know something, in this life, you are fed with so much brown stuff. A lot of people can't work out what's up and what's down. Can't work out what's in or out. Back to the Bishop and Sister Mary again. Oi, Bishop, stop with those fingers. And, sorry, did I say that out loud? And my style is different. That's why I have certain YouTubers copy what I do. But they're not bright enough. Even though they go, oh yeah, I've had an education and I know what I'm doing. They're not really bright enough. But the people that join me on virtually every live are very sharp, very aware. But I will say, it's all about the awareness. So before we speak about the world, before we talk about 2025, before we take it apart, label it, and file it under what on earth just happened, let's just sit with that for a moment. Because 2025 wasn't loud all the time. I would suggest to you, 2025 was tired. But the positive out of that is that 2025 was the year where people learned to read the room again. It was the year where certainty stopped selling quite as well as it used to. The year where a lot of us realized that being right is overrated and being human is harder, but necessary. Look, I've spoken a lot over the last 12 months, the past 3 years. I've done monologues and commentary and decoding and analysis, words stacked on words, stacked on words, stacked on words, trying to make sense of systems that don't always want to make sense back. But here's the quieter truth. Most of what mattered over the last 12 months didn't trend. It happened in kitchens, in cars, in hospital corridors, in text messages that started with, "Are you awake?" and ended in complete silence. It happened when someone carried on even though they didn't actually feel very brave. When someone went to work knowing it wouldn't fix everything, but it would keep the lights on. When someone chose not to reply, or chose to reply kindly, even when they could have gone nuclear. 2025 was a year of small acts, pretending not to be heroic, if I may be so bold. And that's usually where the real story lives. I've had messages over the last 12 months from people who felt and feel invisible. People who've done everything they were told to do, lockdown anyone, and still feel like the ground keeps shifting under their feet. People who aren't asking for answers anymore, if I may speak plainly, just honesty. So tonight, I don't want to shout at the world. I don't want to rant and scream and rant. Look, I am the #1 ranter on YouTube. Lots of people will try, but no one will come close. There is actually in the playlist, the radio playlist, there's a couple of rants in there with me sphericals out. I'm being a man of moderation this evening. So I don't want to shout at the world because the world has already got a headache. Tonight, 2026, is about noticing. It's about listening properly. It's about remembering that behind every headline is a human being who woke up, put their socks on, and just hoped for a decent day. Can I say this to you? This is 2026. We can make it whatever we want. But if you're looking at me and possibly speaking to your TV or your iPad or your phone or any kind of electronica, if you're tired, you're not broken. If you're unsure, you're not failing. If you're still here 3 years down the line, still thinking, still questioning, and more importantly, still caring, then you're doing better than you think. Because there are agendas not hidden anymore. The mainstream media want you to feel a certain way, which is why I've told you repeatedly over the last 4 weeks or so, since the beginning of December, that the mainstream media, and I'm talking particularly about the newspapers, they don't want you to get knowledge and they don't want you to understand. They want you to feel, but they want you to feel in a particular way. Outrage, moral indignation, anger. They want all of that, all of that. Well, do you know something? We're going to defeat them in 2026. And I'm going to be your leader. I'm going to take you by the metaphorical hand and we're going to walk together. Because this channel is a community. I'm going to open up the community so that we can have interaction and conversations still within the channel, but I'm looking at opening the community so you can be in direct contact with me. Because the people that come to the body of the Kirk for my sermons on a Sunday and a Monday and a Wednesday, you and everyone else are seeking. You're seeking truth. Look, I'm human. I don't know everything, and I'm never going to get everything right. But I'll give it a stab. So, wherever you're watching from, whether you've had a good year, blimp, possibly a dreadful year, or one long blur with occasional cups of tea, you're welcome here. You're welcome in the body of the Kirk. You might not get a piles cushion, and most of the Battenberg is always wolfed quickly. There's a little altar wine, which always helps in cold weather. That's why I'm drinking the Bovril. But you're welcome here. It's a broad Kirk. We can talk. We can think. We can decode life a little. But what I would like everyone to be, and this is why I would like everyone to be respectful of others, even when they're a bit mad. I want everyone to be kind to each other. Now, look, you know me. I'm not some woo-woo tree-hugging hippie shite from Sunderland. I eat hot curries. I drink beer till I fall over. I might be defrocked at any point. Oof, hope not. They'll find me in my stockings and suspenders. But I want us to be connected constantly. Because there's things coming which I will allude to for the moment, but if I can predict Venezuela I wish it hadn't me a bloody fiver on it. I'm not sure what kind of odds I would have gotten, but I was doing it in service of you. Or everything that I do is in service of you, your family, your community, your home, because it's vitally important. All these other social media gurus, click, like, subscribe. I don't care. Literally don't care. I've had heat from those close to me saying, come on, Adrian, you should have more subs. You should have this and that and the other, and you should do this. I get it. But being in service of truth is much, much, much more important. So let's be human together, you and I. Let's be human together for a minute. Should we do the year between the headlines? And one of the strangest things about 2025 is how often people told me that they felt alone, while saying it to millions of others at the same time. We're connected constantly, but understood rarely. And I would suggest to you that the last 12 months was the year of unread messages, of half-finished conversations, of people realizing that being available all the time doesn't mean being seen. And yet, human beings kept doing human things. I don't need to name any names, but I am aware of a stranger that paid for someone else's shopping and slipped away before thanks could land. Someone rang their mum, not because they needed advice or they needed something, but for those whose parents may have passed on will understand this quite profoundly, because they missed the sound of her voice. Someone finally left a job, a relationship, a version of themselves that no longer fits, and felt guilty for feeling relieved. You see, that's the bit no algorithm knows what to do with. And the algorithm is just sitting there, staring at you. It doesn't understand relief mixed with grief, hope with a bruise on it. 2025 taught us that progress doesn't arrive with trumpets. At least that's what they sound like in my head. Progress arrives quietly, normally dressed as exhaustion, asking if it can just sit down for a minute. You and I learned painfully that institutions don't love us back. But people still do. Clumsily, I'm sure. Imperfectly. Imperfectly, bloody emphasis on the wrong syllable. Have you been drinking? And on a delay. So, if you and I strip the last 12 months right back, past the noise, past the outrage, past the professional fury merchants, oh, look at how they're ranting on YouTube, in amateurs, what you're left with is this. People trying to live decent lives in systems that don't make that easy anymore. So if you're watching the theatre of the mind, or have joined me in the body of the Kirk tonight thinking, well, I should be further along, I should understand more, or I didn't become who I thought I would in 2025, or I don't recognise the world I grew up in trusting. That's not failure. That's awareness. Awareness is uncomfortable. But let me tell you something profound. Awareness is the first stage of wisdom. And it bloody itches like hell. Which is why nights like this matter. Not to be told what to think, but to remember how to think together, out loud. Without fear of being shouted down for hesitating. Are you not aware that you hold all of the power? They jailed people for memes, Facebook posts, X posts, because they want you afraid. They want you to think, oh, can I do that? Can I? Don't you realise what I've been saying for 3 years? Some of the stuff I've said, well, it cured me constipation, that's for sure. So shall we tonight talk about stories? Because that's the direction of travel I'm going to take you on in 2026. It's going to be about stories. Individual stories, human ones, messy ones, the sort that don't fit neatly into good, bad, or left or right. Because the truth is, most lives are lived in middle. And the middle has been ignored for far too long. Just stay with me. I said to you 5 years ago, when we had extraordinary circumstances, extraordinary corrupt politicians, extraordinary amounts of money that was being laundered out of the taxpayers' coppers, everybody was trying to do the right thing from the middle. Everybody. So stay with me. We'll take this slowly. And we'll start with not what's broken, but with what quietly endured. I want to talk about the story that's come out of Switzerland. It's been sitting heavy with me since it hit the wires. Not because it's complicated, because it isn't. Young people, teenagers, children, out together, laughing, music loud, DJ spinning. music loud enough to blur the edges of the week, doing exactly what youth is supposed to do, forgetting time exists. We've been young once. There are youngsters watching this channel tonight. And then, a ceiling, fire, smoke where air should be, and a cruel turn of fate. The kind that doesn't ask permission. And what makes it unbearable isn't just that lives were lost, it's that these were not reckless children, if I may use that epithet. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were simply being young. And yet, in those final moments, something deeply modern appeared in the room. Some of them just reached for their phones. Not a call for help, not to warn others, but to record, to capture the moment for me Instagram or me TikTok or me social media. It was as if survival could wait until after the upload. That's not stupidity, in my view. I would suggest to you that what it is conditioning. We've raised a generation taught quietly, relentlessly, that if it isn't shared, it didn't happen. This generation believes that danger can be paused, that the frame matters more than the exit. Once upon a time, fear lived in the body. It told you to run, to duck, to get out of the way, to find the door without thinking. And now, fear lives behind a screen. And by the time it reaches the nervous system, it's sometimes, sadly, too late. Now this, you have to understand, this is not an attack on young people. They are not broken. It's a mirror being held up to the world that you and I have built around them. A world where the instinct to witness has overtaken the instinct to survive. Where being seen feels safer than being gone. And I don't know about you, but I feel there's something heartbreakingly innocent in that. And devastating. Because those youths, children, teenagers, they didn't lack intelligence. They lacked rehearsal for reality without a lens, and that is on us. Now, this tonight isn't about blame. It's about remembering that life does not come with retakes. There is no filter for smoke. There's no algorithm that outruns fire. And if this story leaves you unsettled, good. It should. Because the task now is not to scold the young, but to quietly, urgently teach them again how to listen to their bodies, how to listen to their instinct, to feel their gut, to feel their body, to know that something absolutely is urgently wrong. When the world suddenly says, now, there's a quiet symmetry between those stories that's almost unbearable. It's almost as if that interrupted their instinct. And then, As if the year wanted to underline the lesson in red ink. 2026 began with another story that stopped people doom scrolling mid-scroll. Off the coast of East Yorkshire, the sea turned treacherous, cold, fast, indifferent. People were in trouble. And without hesitation, without phones, without audiences, others went in after them. The man and woman on the street, the working man and woman, no uniforms, no obligation. They didn't pause to document courage, they became it. And as you now know, some of them didn't come back. There's no algorithmic irony here, just a stark contrast. The Swiss bar fire. 119 injured that we know, 47 dead that we know. In Switzerland, young people hesitated, trained to witness before acting. In the North Sea, people acted before thinking, trained by something older than culture. Instinct. The sea didn't care that they were heroes. Fire doesn't care either. But you and I do, and here's the bitter truth. We don't like saying this out loud. But I'll be really pointed and straight with you. Heroism hasn't disappeared. It's just unevenly distributed across generations of training. We know those who ran toward danger weren't braver by nature. They were raised with a different internal wiring. A one that said, move first, explain later. That wiring isn't genetic, it's learned. And somewhere along the way, we stopped teaching it properly. We taught children how to brand themselves before teaching them how to escape a room. We taught them how to go viral before teaching them how to survive panic. Meanwhile, out in freezing water, the treacherous North Sea, people with no audience left their future behind because someone else needed help now. That's not criticism of the young. It's a warning to the rest of us, everybody in the body of the Kirk tonight. It is a warning. Because civilization isn't measured by how advanced our technology is. The tech bros want us to believe that. Civilization is measured by what kicks in. When the lights go out, the ceiling catches fire, or the sea pulls someone under. A mum and a daughter. And it is that instinct to save, to flee, to protect, to act, it's not automatic anymore. And that's not a youth problem. That's a cultural one. So if you will allow me, on the third day of 2026, maybe this is the question we should sit with, not angrily, not smugly, just honestly. Are we raising witnesses? Or are we still raising humans who know when to run? When the instinct kicks in, they know what to do. Sometimes they don't, they just feel it. They feel it in here and they just do it before they get a phone out and record it. Will future humans run or know when to run? Will know when to dive in after someone else? Because the world keeps throwing these moments at us that don't wait for uploads. Somewhere between the phone in our hand and the door behind us, instinct went quiet, and the cost was counted in lives. And maybe that's the uncomfortable thread running through all of this that I'm telling you now. Not that young people are careless, not that technology is evil, but that instinct, real bodily instinct, needs rehearsal. For thousands of years, danger trained us as human beings. Now danger is often buffered by screens, warnings, simulations, disclaimers. We scroll past catastrophe so often that when it arrives in the room, it doesn't always register as real. Look at 9/11. They said that 9/11 was like a movie. So what I'm saying to you now isn't about banning phones. It's about remembering that the body has wisdom the feed cannot supply. Because the moment doesn't announce itself as historic. It announces itself as heat or cold or the sudden understanding that something is wrong. And the question is no longer, what would you post? But what would you do? Without thinking. If you're a parent or grandparent watching me now, this isn't a judgment. It's a nudge. We've taught our children how to navigate apps, but maybe not enough about navigating fear. We remind them to charge their phones, but do we remind them to trust their gut? Do we ever say, if something feels wrong, get out? Don't film it. Don't wait for permission. Don't worry about looking dramatic. Just get out. That's not paranoia. It's the natural parental, grandparental protection. Because one day, there won't be time to explain. There will only be time to move. If you will allow me this evening, this is the body of the Kirk, and I am the Reverend Adrian Allen, legitimately. Can I just say that this horrible, horrible experience for some families who are obviously struggling now, I just want to say, may the children who never made it home be held in light. And may those who ran towards danger be remembered for reminding us who we are meant to be. And from here, maybe we begin a bigger conversation, not about blame, but about how we stay human in a world that keeps asking us to look away from ourselves. So welcome to 2026. Welcome to the Theatre of the Mind. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Great American Fraud. We're going to talk about Venezuela. We're going to talk about Shamima Begum. Really? Oh, you forgot about her? Oops. Going to talk about digital ID and the end of your freedoms. We'll talk about Americano. We'll talk about the BBC. And we'll talk about banks and banking. It's all going to be interwoven. So make sure you have your popcorn. Buckle up, buttercup. You bet your sweet bibby it's going to be a bumpy old ride in 2026. And you listen to me regularly. And you thought Venezuela was just a joke? How can little Venezuela, how can the Rev talk about Venezuela? Oh, shag me, stupid. Bloody hell. Trump's absconded the bloody president. Oh, by the way, just as a little aside, I understand that Big Sam has gone into Venezuela as the president just till the end of the season. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you Venezuela 101 because I have been for 3 years. And I'm not, look, I don't want to say I told you so because I know that you, like me, are seeking truth. You're seeking clarity in a world full of chaos. And you want me to decode that for you so you can come back to these as historical documents and rewatch it. And what I am doing from here on in is I'm going to put chapters on this. So whenever there's a chapter that you need to know, but more importantly, you need to tell other people, you can give a timestamp and a link to the video so that you can tell other people. Go and watch Adrian Allen. He was telling me this 3 years ago. And it's not Johnny Big Rolex. Thank you, Theo Bovril. I am trying to moderate my language. I just want you to have the truth at hand so that when anything happens, you go, how do we end shite, man? So I had a message today saying, Adrian, the namby-pamby pinko liberals are protesting in the streets, as I think it was Gribbo said. Where did they get the bloody Venezuelan flags from? It's all organised, Gribbo. Now, if I knew 3 years ago, and it's all around the United Nations Agenda 2030, the people that are motivated to do this and for this to happen, they want everything in place by 2027, at the latest 2030. They want digital IDs in by 2030 by these namby-pamby derrieres that are in power. Starmer, he couldn't lie straight in bed. That I mean, I'm not quite sure who that's from. Oh, bugger. Hang on. No, I can't. Happy New Year, Ev, and all from Cold Kent. Have you got the snow yet? It's bloody snowing in the northeast. So I want to make it easier for you to... let's do this. How's that going to work? Yeah, thank you. I want you to have clarity, which is why I've done some deep dives. Now, they were tough listens or reads or watches, but I'm not doing things to... Hang on, Andy. Oh, Andy. Thank you, Andy. It didn't come up on my screen, so I couldn't work out who it was, but I appreciate your support as ever. So tonight I'm going to decode Venezuela, because you're going, how the bloody hell did he know? Because my sources are impeccable. So this message that I got, the namby-pamby pinko liberals are protesting in the streets, demanding Maduro be returned to Venezuela. At the same time, 65,000 Venezuelans are out on the streets celebrating. Can you make that make sense? Yeah, I can do, actually. Jeremy Corbyn. Oi, 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 oi. Multi-millionaire Jeremy Corbyn. Is that the same bloke? Multi-millionaire Jeremy Corbyn. I wouldn't wipe my backside with that man. Oh, I say. Yes, well, the lefty elite, the namby-pamby pinko liberals are now crying into their baby formula. Look what they're doing to socialists in Venezuela. Jeremy, how do we end shite, mate? You're talking out of your arse, and I wouldn't wipe my arse with your beardy face. Although it might clean my arse up a lot quicker. So the Venezuelans are celebrating on the streets of Venezuela. Why are the lefty politicians upset. Because the lefty corruption, the namby-pamby pinko liberal corruption, is going to be outed. Don't they get that? So you think it's oil and gas. You think, well, Venezuela is the second biggest size queen in the world, as in oil production. They've got, do you know, they have 3.03, I'm trying to be accurate here, 3 billion barrels of oil, which amounts to trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So why is the orange man, the Trump, the Donald, why has he gone into Venezuela? Because there's been some money laundering going on. Begum, hey Rev, what do you mean? Corruption, what do you mean? What I'm talking about is Russia can't sell its oil, but it can launder the money by buying oil from Venezuela and giving Venezuela a shit ton of oil to sell on behalf of the Russians. They're all at it. They're all corrupt. All of them. Do not believe, apart from the orange man, do not believe that any politician is actually working on behalf of you and for the greater good. Absolutely no. So you think, oh, it's about the oil. No. You think it's about the gas. No. You think it's because I've told you over the last 3 years it's about the central banks. A little bit. Do you know what this is really about? The election machines that Venezuela provides around the globe, because those machines, seemingly, from what I've been told, can rig elections. Oh, shall we stand back a second? Mouth agog. You mean President Brown Trousers, President Shitty Pants, used the same machines out of Venezuela to win the presidential election in 2020? Correct. Oh, so the communists and the Marxists and the socialists, they've been rigging elections for at least a dozen years? Correct. Oh, so does that mean that William Jefferson Clinton has to go in front of a congressional hearing and, Bathhouse Barry will have to go in front of a congressional hearing? Oh, will Big Mike have to go and, do what Big Mike does? Well, all I can say is, you bet your sweet bippy, why do you think I've been telling you for months to grab your popcorn? Buckle up. 2026 is going to be wild. Why is it going to be wild? Because you're going to have former presidents in front of a congressional hearing being skewered. Now, I know Bathhouse Barry would love that, especially with Big Mike. Mike, come here. Why do you think it's going to be wild in 26? 5D chess here. The Democrats, they're absolutely, and it's a technical term that we use in radio, shitting themselves. The Labour Party, is anybody using the machines? You know what the difference between honesty and transparency is, don't you? Honesty is when I ask you a question and you give me the answer. But you can lie by omission. So you get to a certain level and you want transparency. And what transparency is, I say nothing, you tell me everything. The difference between honesty and transparency. So, Russia and Putin laundering money through Venezuela. Do you know that Caracas was a major CIA hub? Oh, did I say was? Correct, but no longer. Venezuela is the epicenter of a global election fraud that would blow your mind if you knew exactly what had gone on and how much money they were making. Are you aware that Venezuela helped build Hezbollah into what it is now? Is it a coincidence that Maduro and his corrupt, evil regime fell at exactly the same time as the Iranian regime is being taken down? What did I tell you last year? Did I not tell you that Iran wasn't going to go to war, that there would be, in 2026, there would be regime change in Iran, they're all absolutely crapping their pants. Because they didn't want Trump in power, because Trump was going to do what exactly he is doing right now. Maduro's in New York. Wonder why? Have you worked that out yet? Narco-terrorism. If you look at it, Venezuela and the Bush family built a vast drug empire over many, many, many years. Oh, Daddy Bush. He was, he was second in command of the CIA. Then he was in charge of the CIA. He was second in command when JFK was shot, assassinated. That was soon swept under the carpet. And look, I can almost guarantee that the Bush scum and other deep state families are absolutely terrified witless now. Because the world is watching. We have phones and iPads and computers and electronica that seemingly can tell us the truth, if you find the right communicator to tell you the truth. But truth be told, most have no idea of what is happening or is going to happen. The world might be watching, but it's a well-oiled military plan, long in the making, being carried out in real time. You don't just think that the orange man, Donald, woke up on Friday morning and went, where's me generals? Where's me generals? Oi, lads, send the lads in, the specialist ones, the lads, and bring me Maduro and his wife. They're probably in their pajamas. It's a crime against humanity, any man wearing pajamas. So, my guess? The leaders of the European Super Union are literally sitting on the toilet, releasing their bowels, because they know what's coming. And so do I. They're all corrupt. Now, today, I'll paraphrase. Trump has gone, oi, all European leaders, yeah, well, if you don't get your country right, you're going to destroy it. And then, if I may be so bold, there's Germany conscripting its young. And then there's Great Britain saying they're going to conscript their young. And then there's France saying, yeah, we're going to conscript our young as well. And there's Ursula von der Leyen. Fucking kids, man. Jesus, hang on, I'll wait for the echo to come back. She wants war, because an endless war is very, very profitable. They just launder your taxes into their back pockets. I've been telling you this for years. And here's just, if EU, the European Super Union, which, Starmer wants us to be back into via the back door, because they're all backdoor merchants. The leaders of the EU are very worried right now. I mean, exciting but potentially dangerous times. But just a thought. By removing Maduro, sounds like a fat jab, and declaring America's intent to run Venezuela for a while, Trump could be actually removing a safe haven for fleeing Iranian officials. 5D chess, anyone? Buckle up, buttercup. It's gonna get bumpy. So I'm going to give you a brief timeline of Venezuela, because you're probably thinking, hang on, Venezuela? Who's that? When they're at home. So you need background, facts, detail, analysis. I will tell you that Venezuela in 1992 became the third richest country in the hemisphere. You getting that now? Third richest country in the hemisphere. And their people, or the peoples of Venezuela, are impoverished. Oh, so I wonder who's making all the money. But you know something else? The bloke and his missus in a New York jail, I watched him on video and I thought, oi, that's a very cool as a cucumber man. That's a man who knows. He knows where the bodies are buried. So let me tell you, I will guarantee you that Maduro is going to cut a deal. He's going to cut a deal. He'll be told, Foxtrot Oscar, down to South America, get some plastic surgery, shave the tash off, nobody will recognise you. Here's a couple of billion. How do we end shite, man? We'll have the 300 billion barrels of oil. Tar very muchly. And the people of Venezuela, the reason why they're celebrating is because Venezuela could be richer than Saudi. And if it's richer than Saudi, can you imagine the lifestyle they're going to have? And free energy, free schooling, free health, free everything, maybe free cars. A people that's impoverished and they know how much oil the country makes and they know how rich they can be. No, they're bloody wonder. They're clapping their hands and getting on the streets and getting down because they know what's coming. Riches beyond riches. In 1997, Venezuela became the second largest purchaser of the F-150s. In 2001, they voted for a socialist president and income equality. 2004, private healthcare totally replaced by social healthcare, NHS, free at the point of use. In 2007, all higher education made free. Wonder who was funding all this? Let's guess. Oil. 2009, socialists banned all private gun ownership. 2009. You know why that happened, don't you? Because in 2012, little Bernie Sanders, I think he's dead now, praises Venezuela's American dream. I remember the speech. But then in 2014, all the opposition leaders were jailed. Oh, if only Sir Keir Starmer and the Labour government could do that. And then in 2016, 10 years ago, food and healthcare shortages became the norm. So they had a taste of the riches and everything that went with it because of all the oil and gas and flogging all of these election machines around the world that could rig elections. And from 1997 to 2017, where constitution and elections were suspended, oh, I say, another socialist, another communist, another Marxist government, bit like this Labour government, suspending elections. It's been happening all over the world. You've just not experienced it because it's not been reported in the mainstream media. And then in 2019, unarmed citizens, remember they took the guns off them in 2009. They banned all private gun ownership. And in 2019, so it's 10 years later, unarmed citizens butchered by their own government. If you go to my X feed, at Adrian Allen, you will see a video that I've posted where literally the Venezuelan government ran over protesters, didn't care, ran over and killed them. Didn't care. And all of this that I've just given you, that timeline, is all within a single generation. I would suggest, as Bernie Sanders said, the American dream. It's more like an American nightmare. If you look at democratic-controlled states, the left of politics, they're calling to tear up the US Constitution and seize the guns of the Americans. Look at this Labour government. Namby-pamby, pinko, liberal, scum-sucking pond life. They want to rip up our constitution, the Magna Carta. Oh, doesn't exist anymore. No. In the UK, the Magna Carta being destroyed and defensive weapons forbidden. Can I just say to you that I believe that the world is engulfed in pure evil? It's that simple. And where's the evil coming from? The political left. I would also suggest to you that the fight to free ourselves is biblical. Every Western country needs its own Trump and Doge, Department of Government Expenditure or Efficiency. Soul Rebel says, it's like Death Race 2000, that video 8. I agree, Soul Rebel. Can I know I haven't really interacted with you this evening, but I will read a lot of your comments later once I've finished. But I want you to be aware of something that is horrifying. You know, when I've been saying to you for, I forget how long I've been talking to you about it, but digital ID. I know it's only January the 3rd, but we'll start as we mean to go on. I'm just going to say this very plain and simply to you. This Labour government could confiscate your child or your grandchildren. What am I talking about? So you see, the UK government, this Labour Party, this World Economic Forum puppeteer government, and Chinese Communist Party puppeteering government, they plan to require all newborn babies to be issued a digital ID. Now, I'm a man of my convictions. I've deleted the NHS app off my phone. And my doctor's surgery is apoplectic at me. What you done? What you done? What you done? What do you mean, what have I done? Well, we fine. Just pick up the phone. No. We just want to send you messages. And I said, I don't want you to send me messages. You can send me a letter. Might cost you, but you're making enough money. Or you can put a phone call in. And if I miss it, just leave a message like everybody else and I'll ring you back. But the UK government is planning to require all newborn babies to be issued digital ID. That's communism. It's the Chinese Communist Party's system. And if you refuse, they're going to jail you. And not only will they jail you, they'll confiscate your child. The state will confiscate your child. This is not 1984. It's literally jumped over 1984 and everything that Orwell put in his book, and it's gone for a dance on the other side of it. And I told you, when you were thinking about who you were going to vote for, I told you, be careful who you vote for. And if you vote for Sir Keir Starmer, you'll get Tony Blair. So was Blair overseeing this? Is that why Trump told him to foxtrot Oscar? They didn't want him on the New World Government Council? Oh, sorry, you hadn't worked that out. We don't. So Starmer has the Council of the Willing, not the same. Trump has his 12 disciples. That is the New World Government right there. And you missed that? That's why I'm here. I don't miss anything. So remember, unless you resist this digital ID, your freedom, your children's freedom, and your children's 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 freedom are gone, obliterated. And you thought it wasn't worth the fight? Once it's in, it's never out. I'll make you aware of this. We are going to talk about royals and we are going to talk about Shamima Begum in just a moment. But are you aware? Well, I'm not sure about the veracity of the news that America is sending transport aircraft to the United Kingdom. In some reports, they claim troops are arriving too. I mean, it could be routine, but that don't really sound like it. I mean, there's Starmer on Laura Kunsberg this morning. It's me, Sir Keir. I couldn't lie straight in bed, and I hazard to use the word straight and Sir Keir Starmer in the same sentence. Tell you, it might freeze over in hell, but my bloody Bovril's gone colder than a... These American troops and carriers, are they on the route to Iran? I mean, can I give you an example of how cuddly-woodly left-wing politics is cuddly? Because they're all multimillionaires. They don't care about you. They don't care whether you live or die. They're all multimillionaires. Well, if they're not, they're corrupt. Local councils, National Labour Party, National Executive. They know who's getting what. That's what the intelligence services are there for, to monitor who's shagging kids, who can be controlled, who the whips can tell what to do. Just do as you are told. Otherwise, we'll stop the inflow of money. So the billions that have gone into Ukraine, I want to know where they've gone. And I want to know, if I ruled the world, a bit like Donald Trump, I would say to all the politicians in this country, and that's why they would probably hang me from the nearest lamppost, you tell me, the Office of Budget Responsibility, how much you are worth when you enter Parliament. And all of the money that you work for as a civil servant, because that's what MPs are, they're working on behalf of the people. You don't get a penny until you leave. And then when you leave, we'll give you all those years worth of money you pay from the state. And if you decide to do deals outside of being an MP, but want to take the benefit of that, we're going to put you in jail for corruption. State-wide corruption. And it'll be 100 years as a starting tariff. So if you want to be an MP and you want to be corrupt, we're going to jail you for 100 years. We'll build a nice new prison just for the MPs. A bit like Portcullis House, where they can order pizzas and rent boys. So if you need to know what's going to happen in this country, you can do one of two things. You can either look at Canada, Australia and New Zealand, and you'll find out what's going to happen in 6 months or a year, or you can look at America and see how hairy it's getting in America for the left-wing politicians. Not because Donald Trump's right-wing. Originally, he was a Democrat. And now he's a Republican. But he's just doing what he feels is right for the American public. And that's why the American voters love him. Don't listen to all these idiots, these morons that are trying to extricate tons of money out of the system from NGOs. I mean, aren't you asking the question, hang on, didn't Donald Trump kill some Nigerians? And now he's gone into Venezuela. Nigeria's a massive oil producer. Venezuela, one of the richest oil producing countries in the world, because they have over, I've told you before, over 3 billion barrels of oil reserves worth trillions and trillions of dollars. But if you have a look at the election that's just gone on, Christmas and New Year is a really weird time because most people are just enjoying themselves. Enjoying their family, enjoying the break, enjoying the grog, the alcohol, the food. Nothing in moderation. But this American mayor that's just been elected. Now, you would imagine that if you're the first of anything, whether you're Rachel from accounts, have you noticed how quiet they've gone? If you're the first of anything, you would want to celebrate. So as New York's first Muslim communist mayor, he held a block party for New Yorkers to celebrate with him. But this is the funny part. Those that have been taken in by left-wing politics in America turned up. He held a block party. Do you know what a block party is? Yeah, we'll get some electric out of the lampposts and we'll get on the wheels of steel, the ones and twos. We'll play some hip-hop and we'll all dance on cardboard. Yeah, that's a kind of block party. So all of these fans turned up, only to be, how can I put this gently, disappointed. Oh, why, Rev? Because they didn't put any food or refreshments on. And even the mayor's missus, Rama Devaji, is that how you pronounce it? Because I think then I need to have a word with somebody, because having your wife called a Devaji is unfortunate. I mean, it's a bit like being called Smith and Jones in this country, in the Welsh valleys. But, you know, having your divage, she turned up. I mean, there's no food or drink on for the supporters. Oh, our hero, our hero. She turned up in $630 boots. A bit like, what's her face in her £1,000 leather trousers. As if that's sexy. It might be to the deviant Conservatives. But these people never learn. Never can learn. And I'm also hearing a rumour. That's all it is for the moment. Oi, oi, oi. Honestly, it's so cold. Icicles are forming on my bovril. Let me tell you something about the BBC. I'm hearing a rumour. I'm not going to give you my source. Journalist doesn't. But it's being reported in certain circles and rumoured that due to the huge loss in revenue, because there's a TV licence boycott going on, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but the BBC is now looking into the possible use of adverts. Panic? No, they'll just go to more American companies and they'll take their funding to take control of the narrative. So can you see how the left wing, or the edited panorama says, oh, they edited it down to make him look like he was an insurrectionist. Nancy Pelosi used it. Oh, Donald Trump, an insurrectionist. We have the proof. The BBC, renowned the worldwide. So just keep an eye on it. I'm just putting it on your radar. Where's me Shamima Begum notes gone? Oh, is that it? No. So, if I say Shamima Begum to you, don't you can respond in the comments, of course. But when I say the word Shamima Begum to you, how does your body react? And where does it react? Because I would suggest to you that the name Shamima Begum is a name that Great Britain pretends not to hear anymore. It is a name that people flinch at. It's a name that shuts conversations down at dinner tables. And also, as I'm now seeing, detonates comment sections on Contact. Shamima Begum. And before you switch off, stay with me. Because this isn't really about her. It's actually about us, me and you. It's about, I would suggest, whether citizenship in 2026 is a birthright or a revocable privilege. I would also suggest it's about whether the state can look at one of its own, however damaged, however dangerous, however hated, and say, you're not ours anymore. And if they can say that once, they can say it again. So let's strip this of heat and deal in something rarer. Honesty. Shamima Begum left the UK at 15 years old, a child, a schoolgirl. She walked into Syria and noticed how Britain and France have just bombed Syria. Why are they bombing Syria? It's over. It's finished. It's done. Assad's in St. Petersburg with Putin, protected by the Russians. So why would they be bombing Syria? Because they're trying to make themselves look big. They're trying to make themselves look like state arseholes, basically, for want of a better term. So Shamima walked into Syria, seemingly, and into hell. Oh well, Hellmender. She walked into a death cult that eats children and turns them into symbols, weapons, wombs, propaganda. Pause. You see, this is where Britain fractures. Because two truths exist at the same time. And we, I say that as a collective, hate that. Truth one, ISIS is evil. And have you noticed that ISIS is now back on the table? Oh, because Keir Starmer bombed them. Oh, bloody hell, Macron bombed them. ISIS must be evil. Convenient. And anyone who aligns with it, ISIS, carries blood on them, directly or indirectly. Truth two, children can be groomed, radicalized, trafficked, and manipulated, especially online, especially when identity is fragile and belonging feels conditional. Now, the state chose one truth and buried the other. Instead of bringing her back to face justice, questioning her, prosecuting her, locking her up if necessary, the government chose something cleaner, quieter, politically neater. They deleted her. Her citizenship was removed. Responsibility was outsourced. Problem exported. Refugee camp. And here's the part we don't like to admit. There was quite a few people cheered because exile feels safer than accountability, because distance feels like justice, because it lets us say, not our problem, and then sleep. Law doesn't care about vibes, and history doesn't care about applause. Now, years later, the European Court of Human Rights has ordered her back. Oh, you weren't aware of that? Quietly, while you're enjoying your family time, while you're enjoying the grog and the food and everything and loveliness and joy. The European Court of Human Rights has ordered her back here. Well, not yet. But it has asked a question Great Britain hoped would never be asked. Did the UK abandon its duty to a child who may have been trafficked because she became inconvenient? Wow, that's the crack in the wall. Not, is she innocent? Not, is she sympathetic? But, does the state get to decide that some citizens are disposable? Because once citizenship becomes conditional, it stops being citizenship. It becomes a membership scheme. And here's where the unease spreads. If citizenship can be removed for national security, if it can be removed while someone is a minor, and if it can be removed when returning them is politically difficult, then ask yourself, quietly, honestly, who gets that treatment? And who never will? Because this kind of power doesn't land evenly. It doesn't hover over everyone equally. It clusters. It shadows. It follows certain surnames, certain skin tones, certain postcodes. And no, that doesn't excuse terrorism. It exposes state power. The uncomfortable truth is this. A confident country puts its criminals on trial, most of them in a Zempic palace. An anxious country, scared to say boo to itself, makes them disappear. Great Britain, we used to believe in courts. We used to believe in the integrity of the law. Now it believes in administrative erasure. And once the state learns it can make someone legally vanish, it rarely forgets how. So this is the line we're walking in 2026, I believe. Not between safety and danger, but between justice and fear. Because the moment citizenship becomes something the state can withdraw when the optics get ugly, none of us truly belong. We're just tolerated until we're not. And here's the final chilling thought. If the state can unname one citizen, it can unname another. Citizenship is not a subscription. It's not valid whilst convenient. Either it means something or it means nothing at all. And a country that forgets that eventually forgets who it is. This case refuses to go away because it hits three primal fears all at once. Fear of terrorism, fear of children being corrupted, and a fear that belonging is conditional. And when those three fears collide, societies don't reason, they react. And I will say this to you before I actually give you the reason why I'm telling you all this. A nation reveals itself not by how it treats its heroes, but by how it handles its most despised. Justice is slow. Fear is fast. And tonight, Great Britain is deciding which one it wants to be. Now let me circle back, because this is vitally important. Did you hear me use the term European Convention for Human Rights and the Human Rights Act in this country? And how the Europeans, we're back in the family by the back door, said, according to the European Convention on Human Rights, Shamima Begum has to come back to this country. And had you worked out what was going on? What did I tell you weeks ago? That this bunch of clowns in the Ozempic Palace Circus were going to have to do. And there were some people that didn't understand what I was saying. Whether you've got sympathy for Shamima Begum or not, and I do believe that 99.99% of this country have no sympathy for her whatsoever, me included. But I was using the intellectual rigor of how this country is before we even get to the conversation about her coming back. But there is something more important lying on the cold, hard slab. And I'm going to tell you what it is. This government, this sceptred isle, this Great Britain needs to get rid of the European Convention for Human Rights. What do you mean, why? I told you weeks ago. They can't bring in digital ID in the way that they want to bring digital ID in until ECHR, the European Convention for Human Rights, and the Human Rights Act in this country is obliterated, eviscerated, gone, finished, over. It's been Foxtrot Oscared. They need rid of it. And what are they going to use? Shamima Begum. She's the most despised individual, or one of, this country's ever known. Married to terrorist. Dutch. Kids to terrorism. So they're using it as the lever to get rid of the European Convention for Human Rights so that they can just bring in digital ID however they want to. And I've already told you, the system is in place. They've already given us the structure. They just want to manipulate us. And right at the very beginning of this live, I told you that the mainstream media are telling you how to feel. They want you to be angry. They want you to have moral indignation. They want you to say, I don't want this. Right, we'll get rid of the European Convention for Human Rights, then she can't come back. And everybody will go, yay, 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 we won't get her back. And they'll get rid of the bloody European Convention for Human Rights. And then what are you going to do? I told you 5 minutes ago, if you allow this, your children are next. If you allow this, your children's will be at risk. 3 years ago, I told you about Venezuela. And some people laughed. They're still laughing at me. Because they're not intelligent enough to understand what I'm saying. You're simply being manipulated to believe something. Now you watch. Watch. Just watch what happens to the European Convention for Human Rights. And that duplicitous, evil individual, Shamima Begum, 15-year-old, don't care. I don't care. She's made a bed and shagged in it, let alone lay in it. She's not a citizen of this country. Let her stay in Syria. Oops. Sakia, did we just bomb Shamima Begum? Oh, yeah. Why are they bombing Syria? It will come out in the wash. They will. Matthew Whedon, thank you. Angelic Inspiration says, Whippersnapper Begum is small price to pay for retaining human rights. I will say this, that the European Convention for Human Rights is not the answer to digital ID, but it slows the process down. I've also made you aware of the Seville commitment, the place Seville or Sevilla in Spain. The Seville commitment is this, and it's an international treaty that Starmer signed without you knowing, without any backup from the Ozempic Palace. None of that. Because that evil that's sitting in there as the Prime Minister, and that evil collective that is known as the Labour Party, the Fabian Society, and the left politically, they are evil, 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 evil beyond your comprehension. What has the WEF got on Starmer that makes him jump through hoops every single time? Doesn't matter what they tell him to do, he just goes, yeah, okay, yay, I'll do it. What have they got on him? Trump knows what it is. He abhors Starmer. He's just a little man that is insignificant. Certainly on the world stage. He doesn't know what happened in Venezuela. Don't know. There is a reason why. No class, the man, in my view. But they're trying every which way to get rid of the European Convention on Human Rights, so you won't be able to do anything about digital ID, and you're sitting there with a little tincture going, oh, bloody hell, Adrian. Rev, what you saying, man? So Paulie Galtieri, very, very poignant. Remember, Sequeira Starmer was a human rights lawyer and wrote the book on it. He definitely did. He was asked to write it. Never trust a lawyer. Never trust a barrister, because they're doing it for money. If they were doing it for integrity, I might actually listen to them. It's all off kilter. It's all corrupt. All of it. The whole system. The political system, it's been corrupted in the last 50 years. There's Sir Edward Heath. Oh, Edward, what you just chucked over the side of the boat? Dunno, looks like a body. No, can't be. He's dead. Can't libel a dead man. Hope he's fucking roasting in hell. It's on your radar now, because I've told you. It's now down to you what you do with it. But as I said at the beginning of this live, and I don't just chuck this together, you know. Des Ashton, Eyes Wide Shut. I know, great film. Cut 20 minutes out of it. Hollywood, scared witless. If Shamima comes back, I'm sure heads will roll. Ray Norton. It's corrupt. Just depends how much money they pay them, or how many rent boys they give them. Portcullis House. Oh, hello. Yes. Do you deliver? Well, yeah. Right. Okay. Can I have 3 pizzas and a rent boy? And that's from the WhatsApp group. Portcullis House. What, you think I'm joking? If you don't hear from me again, my brake pipes will cut. Oh, Sir Andrew James. I wonder if Starmer's grandparents knew Crowley. Oh, I say. There's a little rabbit hole I can go down. Young Alistair. Got some of his books. So do you want me to finish off with a story that I promised at the beginning? So this, we will, tomorrow night, I will give you further information. Stuart, thank you very much. Very kindly, sir. Thank you, Adrian. Happy New Year. Oh, you're a top man, Stuart. Thank you very much. Let me just heart that. As I've said, 2026, I want to give you facts. I want to give you corroborative facts. I want to give you eyes that you might not have to see, because you're dealing with a lot of things in your life. But I spent 3 years getting you to trust me. And this is where together we're going to make the difference in 2026. It's going to be wild. I've told you, it's going to be wild. There will be people, been telling you for 3 years. So what have I been telling you for 3 years? If there's anybody new, Barbara's Bush, Vixtex. I know, it's a bloke, chick with a dick. So don't laugh, Vixtex. Time to relook at the Golden Dawn. Interesting. I do have some Golden Dawn books, young Des. Enigma Blue. Are we really? Oh yeah, we've just gone over 100. So thank you for that. So if you smash the likes while you're in this, there's only 200 people in here. Tough audience, but welcome back to the Body of the Kirk. We will continue with these sermons, but I want to tell you a story before we kind of wind it up in maybe 10 minutes or so. Because what I also do is I keep an eye on certain things. Now, it may seem like angelic inspirations. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for everyone's support and kindness. And I will continue to do this while I can. Meaning, if I disappear, they're coming to take me away. Haha. Because they will just say that I'm mad. It's how it works. Either cut your brake pipes and you end up going into a concrete stanchion in a French tunnel, or and drive you around for an hour, meaning that you're dead when you wind up at hospital. And then they embalm the body to get rid of the pregnancy or the traces of the pregnancy. Oh, I say, they embalmed Diana. Why did they do that? Because she was fucking pregnant, mate. Oh, no, you can't say that. I've got pictures. Well, not, but I've got pictures. And I will tell you this. Part of what I know comes from eyewitness personal accounts. I worked with somebody who went to the same gym as Diana at roughly the same time. She was a national TV star and said to me, "Hey, Adrian, I used to go to the same gym as Diana and I used to see her doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sit-ups." I said, "Well, what was that leopard skin print thingy with? That wasn't water weight gain. No, she was pregnant." So, if you want to see the picture, Google Princess Diana leopard skin print swimming costume. Not bikini, swimming costume. Honestly. Bigger beer gut than a man that drinks 25 pints a day. But she did thousands of sit-ups. There is and the reason why I've said that is it leads me into this. They say that the most dangerous person in your life isn't your enemy. It's the person who knew you before you learned how to hide. Now, for Meghan Markle, that person isn't a reporter. It isn't her poor daddy out east, who's not very well at all. And it's not even a palisade. It's Trevor Engelson. So long before the royal titles, before Windsor Castle, before carefully chosen words and perfect photos, young Meghan, who seemingly, according to some books that I have possession of, loves a shag. does young Meghan. She was married to Trevor Engelson, you know, the Hollywood producer, who believed that he was building a life with a woman chasing dreams. What he didn't really realise was that he was living with somebody already practicing reinvention. I mean, their marriage didn't end in fireworks or even public drama. It just ended quietly. But quiet endings don't mean empty endings. Trevor didn't walk away with bitterness. He walked away with memory. And memory, you see, is dangerous because it doesn't change just because someone else's life does. See, Trevor knew Meghan Markle before the polish, before the palace, before the mask. He just didn't know who she said she was, in my view. He knew who she was when there was nothing to gain by pretending, and that's what makes his silence unsettling. Stuart, yes, I did. Stuart's just said, did you see the interview of Ginger Spherical saying he'd wished he'd never watched Meghan's love scenes in Suits? Mate, ask your Uncle Andrew. The reason why I'm mentioning Trevor Engelson is because people who truly know something don't rush to shout. They wait. And when stories begin to surface, as Stuart has said, and as I alluded, those stories that sound too specific to be invented, you start to wonder where they came from. You see, that's where our story begins. Not in London, not in a palace, but with a man standing outside the future Meghan Markle's carefully built, holding pieces of her past she made sure no one else could see. So we'll fast forward to 2016 at Toronto, Canada. So Meghan Markle, as Stuart has said, is filming Suits. Ginger Sphericals wished he hadn't watched. She was living a life that looked successful on the outside, but still hungry underneath. And then something changes. Ginger Sphericals walks into the picture, quietly, secretly slipping across borders without the palace spotlight. And on the surface, it's a love story just beginning, a private visit, a hidden romance, a roast chicken dinner that Harry cooked. Wait, they've changed the story. No, we were introduced on a blind date by friends. Oh, wait, no, hang on, the story's changed. It's somewhere near the truth, not exactly on it. But according to accounts tied to Mr. Engelson's old circle, that night was anything but innocent. It wasn't just dinner, it wasn't just wine. According to these sources, they described Meghan organising what Toronto nightlife insiders called a run. In simple terms, that means arranging the kind of indulgence that doesn't leave receipts. Substances, excess, a night that could spiral fast if anything went wrong. And then there was a name that made people go silent when it was mentioned. Princess Eugenie, Harry's cousin. Now, whether she was involved, aware, or simply referenced doesn't matter. Her name alone raised the stakes to a very dangerous level. Because now, this wasn't just about Meghan and Harry, this was about the royal family. Something went wrong that night. Not a full explosion, but a close call. A moment where exposure brushed right up against disaster. One wrong move, one phone call, one leak, and the entire relationship could have ended before it ever became public. And yet, nothing happened. No police, no headlines, no whispers in the morning papers, just silence. And I am sure that the mainstream media, the newspapers, knew all about it. Because remember when Harry was in Afghanistan, there was an agreement between the palace and the editors of the morning newspapers. They were asked politely, please don't put anything about young ginger sphericals being in Afghanistan. And they agreed to it on condition that they got interviews when he came back. So to understand why the Toronto night didn't shock people who knew Meghan, you have to understand where she lived, not her apartment, but her world. Toronto wasn't just a filming location. It was where Meghan built a second identity. And that identity revolved around Soho House. Soho House isn't and wasn't a regular club. It was a private playground for the powerful. No cameras, no questions. On the surface, it looked like wine, laughter, quiet luxury. But behind closed doors, insiders described a sharper menu, if I can call it that. Indulgence without consequences, excess without witnesses. And Meghan wasn't drifting through this world by accident. People who partied with her didn't describe her as a guest. They described her as a connector. The person who knew who wanted what. The person who knew how to get it. The person who could make things arrive without anyone asking where they came from. Her value wasn't beauty. It wasn't charm. It was access. She didn't just keep the party going, she made the party possible. She made people feel untouchable, even when lines were being crossed. And when you understand that, the Toronto night in 2016 stops feeling like a surprise. It starts to feel like routine. Years before Toronto, years before Ginger Sphericals, there was Jamaica. In 2011, Meghan married young... nice one, Andrew James. Trevor Engelson, we'll call him Mr. Engelson, in what should have been a carefree beach wedding, sun, sand, celebration. But guests didn't leave about the vows. They talked about Meghan. Not dancing. Not laughing. Rolling. She reportedly sat down and rolled 100 joints for her guests, one by one. Not as a joke, not as a novelty, as an operation. And seemingly she was very good at it. At the time, people just brushed it off, called it fun, said it showed she was relaxed, easygoing, cool. But seen alongside her Toronto years, the moment looks different. This wasn't about partying, it was about control. Meghan wasn't just part of the atmosphere, she was actually shaping it, supplying it, directing the tone of the night. And I'm sure Mr. Engelson saw this version of her up close because they were giving bags of weed to their guests, long before anyone imagined a duchess. This wasn't a phase, it was a pattern. And what made Meghan different wasn't what she did, it was how well she separated it. To Hollywood, she was the struggling actress with big dreams. To her family, the polished daughter who kept things proper. To Ginger Sphericals, the understanding partner who made him feel safe. And to the Toronto nightlife circle, she was bold, confident, and unflinching. The one who knew how to make nights stretch on forever. These worlds never touched, not by accident. but by design. Meghan learned to give each group just enough of herself to feel trusted, while keeping the rest hidden. She let everyone believe they knew her, without ever letting them compare notes. That wasn't chaos. That's strategy. And once you see that, Toronto 2016 stops looking like a risky mistake. It looks like the moment all of her skills, and she has skills, came together under the highest stakes she had ever faced. She didn't trip into that night. She knew exactly how to move through it. And the most important question isn't how she survived it. It's why the next person in her life didn't run when he saw it. Most people assumed Ginger Bollocks was naive, that he was fooled, that he didn't see warning signs. But Ginger Sphericals wasn't new to scandal. Even his big bro told him, upstairs for thinking, downstairs for dancing. Harry wasn't new to scandal. Before Meghan, there was the Vegas photos. Have you ever seen those? Do you want me to post those for you? Late nights, and whispers the palace worked overtime to contain. Harry didn't need someone to clean him up. He needed someone who wouldn't panic when things got messy. And that's where Meghan fits perfectly. She didn't judge the chaos. She understood it. More than that, she knew how to manage it, how to keep indulgence quiet, how to move through shadows without leaving fingerprints. To Ginger Sphericals, that felt like freedom. Inside palace walls, everything leaked. Every mistake became a headline. Every slip was managed by handlers who treated him like a problem. Meghan offered something different. Discretion. Control. Safety. She wasn't just a girlfriend. She became the one person who could see his darker side and not flinch. The one person who didn't try to fix him, but instead made the risk feel contained. That kind of bond doesn't grow slowly, it locks in fast. And that's why Harry didn't run, because Meghan didn't represent danger to him. She represented escape. Every reinvention leaves marks. Meghan's just happened to be written on her face. Old photographs show softer features, a wider nose, familiar lines that mirrored her family. And over time, those features sharpened, the bridge narrowed, the structure changed. Now, officially, it was cosmetic refinement, Hollywood polish. Nothing unusual. But whispers from her Toronto years suggested something else. Heavy cocaine use doesn't fade away. It damages cartilage. It collapses tissues from the inside. As some actresses and some rock stars will tell you. So at that point, surgery stops being about beauty. It becomes repair. Seen through that lens, each procedure wasn't just a makeover. It was a burial, a metaphorical burial. Another layer placed over a version of herself she couldn't afford to let resurface. Her face wasn't just changing, her past was being rewritten. But Meghan didn't only erase features, she erased people. Friends from Toronto vanished from her circle. College connections faded into silence. Family ties fractured. Trevor Engelson, the man who knew her earliest patterns, was cut out completely. This wasn't drifting apart, it was removal. The cycle stayed the same every single time. Built a world, extracted what was needed, erased the witnesses. Start again. By the time questions began to surface, there was no one left who could easily stitch the past together. Anyone who remembered a different Meghan no longer had access to the new one. And you see, that was the point. Still, no story holds forever. Meghan once said she never Googled Prince Harry. Then, in another interview, she described his traits with the detail of someone who had studied him closely. She said she was isolated in the United Kingdom, trapped and cut off. They took her passport away. Yet records showed frequent travel: Italy, Amsterdam, New York. Then came the secrecy around Outrage's birth. No full certificate. Questions left unanswered. Even her own birth year became a quiet point of confusion. A small detail in Hollywood, obviously, but a serious one in royalty. And the palace noticed. Early biographies painted Meghan as exceptional, a scholar, a humanitarian, fluent in languages, decorated with achievements. Then, quietly, those details disappeared. Her profile was reduced to a single line. Pun not intended. Meghan Markle, actress from Suits. For an institution obsessed with precision, that wasn't accidental. It was distance. So, who is Meghan Markle? Is she a woman swept up by fate, or a strategist who mastered reinvention, control, and erasure long before the crown came into view? The evidence points to someone who didn't stumble into history. She designed her way there. And that's why the story still lingers. Because for every polished photo, there's a shadow just outside the frame. For every carefully chosen word, there's a memory someone else still holds. Trevor Engelson remembers. Toronto remembers. Jamaica remembers. And the most unsettling part isn't what's already been hidden. It's what hasn't surfaced yet. And so this evening, we end not with answers. We end this live 277 with awareness. I do hope that this live tonight will leave you less certain and more awake. May you question power even when it smiles at you, and doubt certainty even when it shouts. I want you to remember this: fear is loud, but truth, like karma, is patient. Justice is slow, yes, but it's the only thing that lasts. Guard your mind. Guard your compassion. Guard the quiet place inside you where thinking still happens. Be hard on systems. Be soft on people. And never let anyone convince you that belonging is something you have to earn. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Welcome to 2026. My name's Adrian Allen. Be well, be safe, always. Always carry emergency Battenberg, for reasons we won't go into at this point. But my name is Adrian Allen. And this is not a show. This is a mission. The mission is truth from the pulpit of truth. And we'll do another live tomorrow night with more of the same. Researched, measured, truth. See you at 7:15 for the parish notes, but then 7:30, we're going to get bumpy, baby. I'll see you tomorrow night. And we've also got a live on Wednesday, don't forget. And there's other stuff happening this week, which you will just have to be here and subscribed to make sure that you enjoy the good stuff that's coming. See you tomorrow night for another live.